I wanted to also play this because, last night I was on Chris Hayes' program, and Hayes he said something to me on air, which was quite an admission. He said, "I like having you on because you don't put on any pretense that you're not thoroughly enjoying the disarray the Republicans find themselves in." I mean, most reporters come on, they have to sort of maintain some type of air, or even commentators. And I'm just a commentator, and I do enjoy it. And he also knows that both on his program, on and off air with him, I had been predicting that Trump would get in the race, and that this was the year for maybe a Cruz type, and then that Trump would do well. And he asked me the question, and this question has been resonating with me. Can liberals have it both ways? Can they both say that Donald Trump is an incredible danger to the country, and that they are excited that he's doing so well because it's revealing something about the Republican Party? And the real answer is that, look, I'm not in charge of the Republican Party. Even the Republican Party doesn't seem to be in charge of the Republican Party. So I can both get excited about this and also think that he's a danger to the Republic. But, I also think that Ted Cruz is a danger to the Republic. In fact, I think just about all of them are a danger, I think, to, at the very least, wide swaths of Americans, and not to mention the future of the country. But particularly a guy like Ted Cruz, I think, is particularly odious. And here is President Obama with the president of Argentina. And among other things, Obama rebuked Ted Cruz. And I think the president really wanted to make sure that he was doing this in this setting. Not that Argentina is a big home for Muslims, but the international press is going to be there. And I think he wanted to make a real point of rebuking Ted Cruz for his suggestion that we surveil and monitor Muslim neighborhoods in this country. Here is President Obama.
What some candidates have said, I think I've been very clear on this. One of the great strengths of the United States, and part of the reason why we have not seen more attacks in the United States, is we have a extraordinarily successful, patriotic, integrated Muslim American community. They do not feel ghettoized. They do not feel isolated. Their children are our children's friends, going to the same schools. They are our colleagues in our workplaces. They are our men and women in uniform, fighting for our freedom. And so any approach that would single them out or target them for discrimination is not only wrong and un-American, but it also would be counterproductive, because it would reduce the strength, the antibodies that we have to resist terrorism. As far as the notion of having surveillance of neighborhoods where Muslims are present, I just left a country that engages in that kind of neighborhood surveillance, which, by the way, the father of Senator Cruz escaped for America, the land of the free. The notion that we would start down that slippery slope makes absolutely no sense. It's contrary to who we are. And it's not going to help us defeat ISIL.
And I should say, having been to Cuba, and he was referencing Cuba there, that on a film shoot, my wife made a documentary in Cuba in 2002, I think it was. And at one point, I was with the van that we were in, Everybody else had gone out to shoot. I was staying with the van. Guy came up wearing flip-flops, jean shorts, T-shirt. I know very little Spanish. I could communicate a little bit. But he started asking me a question, and, at one point I was like, entiendo, yo habla inglés, whatever. I don't know if it's, and he said, he asked me where I was from, and I said, Americano. Within 10 hours, we had gotten word from people we knew in the Ministry of Culture, or we had gotten word from people who were sponsoring us, our local Cuban production company, that they had gotten word from a contact they had in the Ministry of Culture that Cuban counterintelligence was now following us. And we thought they were going to take our footage because they were uptight about who we might be, even though we had, had gotten a permit to be there. And this had happened to the movie La Bamba, so I was terrified. I had a whole set of fake tapes that I made up and figured their DVC cam, digital cam, this is a new camera. They're not going to be able to play them anyways. But nevertheless, this was ongoing. And simultaneously at that time, being debated that summer in America was a plan called TIPS, where postal workers, cable workers, maybe plumbers, but postal workers and cable workers and phone company people would be recruited to turn in people when they went and visited apartments or houses for any suspicious activity. Tips, total informational something awareness, some program like this back in 2002. I mean, fortunately, we didn't go there. But, you don't build this apparatus and then say, oh, you know what, the threat is gone now. Or if you maintain a permanent apparatus to spy on people, guess what? It just grows and grows. It should be enough that it's inappropriate to spy on any segment of our population on an ongoing basis. And of course, we had a version of this in New York that the AP exposed, where the New York Police Department was going as far as New Jersey and as far north as like New Hampshire and Vermont to infiltrate student groups, Muslim groups, in colleges and whatnot. But unbelievably bad idea for a myriad of reasons. And so good for Obama for shooting it down. Lastly, there's a big story out there now that Muslim groups in states across the country, and particularly like in Ohio, Florida, Michigan, Muslim groups are starting to organize and to get out the vote in a way that is fairly unprecedented. Muslims only, I think, make up 1% of the population in this country. Nevertheless, any group that organizes and votes as a bloc, and particularly groups that are concentrated in specific states, can make a big difference. A Pew Research Center survey last year found that 70% of American Muslims identify with the Democratic Party. Just 11% consider themselves to be Republicans. Muslims tended to lean Republican as of 2000. A united voting bloc in places like Ohio and Florida can make a big difference. I mean, remember Florida in 2000. It was pretty close. I don't know if you remember. And in a place like Ohio, and this can make a big difference too for like what happens in the Ohio senatorial campaign, what happens in the Michigan senatorial, the Florida campaign. This could make a big difference. Hi, I'm Sam Seder, and this is an Ann Coulter doll.
You should not be immigrating here. Yeah. Stay in your country and hate us.
For smart progressive talk and a little bit of this and even a little bit of that.
Mission accomplished.
subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and like us on Facebook to get some of our best video clips.